Welcome to our group meeting for the security policies group. It's been a while since we've had this, but Alexander, you've got a few things to demo for us.
Yeah, it's things everybody knew was coming, but I just wanted to reiterate the feature flags for the scan execution rule mode on both project level and group level has been defaulted on, as well as the operational vulnerability cluster and agent filters on the project level have that feature flag has also been defaulted on. So not gonna demo it because I've demoed it before, but those are definitely making it into 15.5. So that's very exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great news. That's really going to make it a lot more usable for everybody for that feature. So great work on that. And then the only other thing I think that we've got in our agenda today is talking about role-based approval actions for scan result policies. So we've put this through design. I think we're ready to do planning breakdown. I can just share my screen real quick. This is actually priority 4 here. But as you mentioned, Alexander, where we just finished this one out, so this will be rolling off the list. Priority 3 will be coming off. Priority 1 will likely be wrapped up here soon. Zamir's finishing that one up. So that would quickly be making this priority 2. And we've got a few different phases. I think the consensus mostly is to go straight to phase 3. So we can talk about that. But if we want to address this iteratively or break it down smaller, we can do that as well. But the net result of this would be impacting the action section for scan result policies, where right now you can just add individuals and groups. We'd be splitting it up so that you can add either users, groups, or by role. And so if you pick role, you'd be able to pick owner, maintainer, developer, reporter, guest. I assume ideally this would be multi-select so that you could pick more than one. I guess that's not really here in the designs, but that would be the ideal state. And then you could, join additional things together if you wanted to also add in some other users or groups or other things into this list. Even if we don't do, actually looking at these designs again now, it looks like the design wasn't for this to be multi-select, where you just pick one and then you add another condition. We could do that as well. As long as the end state is that the user is able to pick different roles as eligible approvers, that would be accomplishing the purpose of the epic from a product standpoint.
Yeah, I can add explanation because we are updating the drop-down. They are removing the check mark of the multi-selection, which I feel like is confusing that if user open the drop-down, there is no check box in between for multi or single selection. It's confuse user, and it's more clear we just do it this way. And user know, for example, is or condition, and also like they know it.
So you're talking about this check mark, like in the multi-select?
Yeah, because we have a design to update it with a checkbox in between. So when user open it, they will directly know it's multi-selection because the little square in front of it. But that design has been reverted, go back to this one, which is before updating. So I was really hoping the little box could be there. The plan was really like this quarter they update to the square, but somehow the design changes again. And there are more research coming up. So in some designs that I feel like if we can make them more clear, just single selection is like a single selection, and then let user like use the add button to add more single selection if they want it. And with the roles, I don't expect in the normal cases they will select all of them. So like adding it up, it shouldn't be a big problem. But in the research, if we see that normally, like if people want to select all the rows, they can like update it to the multi-selection.
Right. So just to be clear here, Camelia, are you suggesting that we make this multi-select or single select?
For now, the single selection.
Single selection.
Drop down
Okay.
component change.
And then, yeah. So are there any other questions on this? Are we ready to move this into refinement? I don't have the notes document up at the same time, but
What Sam or Sasha, you mentioned that from the backend perspective, starting with phase 3 directly would be easier. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so what I initially thought was to have a new type called maybe role approvers. Instead of having the IDs of the users belonging to a role. So that way we introduce a new type. So that would be easier to, no matter which phase we are in, right? So from the backend, the policy YAML would have a new type. It could be something like role approvers to the require approval action type, and that contains the roles, list of roles specific to that particular action.
Got it. That makes me think of another question. What in the designs there were roles like owner or maintainer and stuff like that. What Sam, we'd want this design to be implemented both at the project level and group level, is that correct?
yep, it should be consistent throughout.
Got it. So at the group level, are there are owners, right? And maintainers at the group level. Can you be a maintainer of a project but not a maintainer of a group?
So
and if so, which one would we show?
no, so these policies don't actually apply to the group. You create them at the group level, but then they flow down to the projects in the group. So they, all of the policies, both scan execution and scan results, they actually get applied and implemented down at the project level. So when you're creating a group level policy, it's not a policy for that group, it's a policy for the projects in the group. So it would flow down to those projects, and the maintainers at the project level would be the ones eligible to approve, not the group level maintainers, if that makes sense.
Got it. So then in the design there were numbers like next to the groups, like maintainers, 6 people.
Right.
Those numbers wouldn't show up for the group level then, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, you would just not be able to show that. It would just say maintainers because it's going to vary by project, right? You're going to have a different number for each project potentially. So you just wouldn't have a number to show at the group level.
Got it. Cool. Thank you. Another question I thought of, I'm sorry, I was looking at this right before the meeting, so I didn't have time to write it all down, which is bad practice. I'm sorry that wasn't more async. But Sashi, do you see any performance implications in collecting all the members from every project or collecting all the members from every group if we were to implement this at the group level?
Not sure from the top of my mind, but I think getting the count would be a good first step rather than getting all the users. But there might be some performance overheads on top of that. Getting on a project level would be straightforward, but for a group it might be different. Yeah, we'll have to maybe factor in as well.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, those are all the questions I had about the project right now. But I'll be looking at more. But I think we can move it to refinement.
Okay. Sounds good. I think the consensus is to leave it as one epic for now. So at least on the back end, it sounds like they'll be going straight to phase 3. I think if you wanted to split it out into smaller phases, you could do that. Alexander, it'd be up to you. But if you want to create sub epics or multiple issues or just go to phase 3, whatever is easiest for you, I would say just feel free to organize things within the epic in a way that makes the most sense for how you want to approach the problem.
Cool, sounds good.
All right, and I think that's everything we've got in the agenda. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up today? All right, well, thanks everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, friends.